Welcome to the final episode of season 1 of I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence Inc. I'm your co host, Michelle, and today we're taking a moment to reflect on the powerful conversations we've had throughout this series. From community support systems to mental health, from cultural perspectives to ways we can take action together. We've explored a wide range of topics aimed at empowering survivors and raising awareness about domestic violence.
That's right, Michelle. Over the course of this podcast, we've heard from survivors, advocates, and experts. And each episode has built on the idea the journey to healing is deeply personal, yet shared by many. As we close out this series, we'll summarize the key insights we've learned and discuss why it's so important to keep this conversation going because awareness, support, and action don't stop with the series.
We'll also take a moment to reflect on how far we've come in understanding of domestic violence and how far we still need to go to create a world where survivors can heal, thrive, and feel supported every step of the way. Let's dive in and look back at the key points that have shaped this journey. Oh my gosh, Sean, our 12th episode of
I
season
know.
1.
Oh
How do
my
you
God.
feel?
I'm like Michelle, I'm so blessed to have you as a co-host because you're that woman, you're that incredible, articulate, bubbly, creative, just you're the person. You're just so thank you. Thank you again. I want to let my whole audience know I couldn't have done this without you and without your motivational kind of just ways about you. You just motivate and you took my visions as a co-host and put them on steroids. And I just want to say thank you first and foremost. Secondly, I literally got really emotional when you said that we have to do this episode about the close of the first season. And I was like, wow, it went by so fast. We had incredible guests. I mean, so many people are already talking about after they left the show, they want to potentially watch the podcast. When's it coming out? We're getting a lot of emails and text messages and contacts on LinkedIn and my Facebook about the podcast. So I'm getting really a little overwhelmed in a good way that so many people are interested in like what's next, what's season 2 going to be like, and who's going to be on. So I just want to say again, thank you, and thank you for bringing my visions as a co-host to life. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you, Sean, for letting me bring the visions from the paper to the screen. And yeah, we've had some incredible guests along this season one journey for sure. I mean, um, yeah, there, we have too many to name, obviously. People will be going through and they have to watch the episodes on their own on Spotify and the other platforms. But yeah, it's definitely but incredible. It's been a learning journey for sure for even us as survivors and you as the owner of I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence Inc. Out of Las Vegas, Nevada. But I think you should kind of just touch on the foundation a little more so our guests, even though we put it on the slides every single episode, just kind of get in a little bit about the foundation a little more and how they can contact
Yeah,
and how they can
sure.
support.
Sure. Um, Before I jump in on the foundation, I just want to say thank you for opening another door that I'm going to walk through about the episode 2 and how we just closed out one. I mean, season 1 and 2 rather. So season 2, people are asking, like, we're getting flooded with like people that want to be on the show. So I think we're already booked, as you said, that we got all the guests already probably lined up, most of them. But I want to say it's really amazing that the responses that we get from people who are survivors or advocates, and they look at the website. So I'm going to go down the road about our website and what we offer. Again, I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence Inc. is located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, on off of Rainbow. We don't give our location because obviously there are people that are survivors that have been battered, so we kind of keep a little the radar, which a lot of you know um, 501c3s organizations that are in our space want to keep it private for reasons we all know they're battered and they're afraid that their abuser may come. So I can only tell you we're located in Las Vegas, Nevada. I can tell you that we have multiple resources. If you go to the website, we have an actual tip line. So on that tip line, it's 702-323-4477. Again, tip line is actually a hotline as well. It's one and the same. It's 702-323-4477. If you can't get to a phone and you're in trouble and you're being held hostage, if it's because of domestic violence, human trafficking, you went out on a date and the guy or the girl's keeping you hostage in some manner, some craziness, all you have to do is just say you're talking to your girlfriend or you're talking to your job that you can't go into work because what's going on here. Whatever the issue is, just get on your phone and text our number. Again, 702-323-4477, 911 911. Put your address and your name and the abuser's name if you can. That's it. And we will have Metro PD in Las Vegas come immediately. We have the contacts to call. We'll also call 911. So that's first. Secondly, our email address is support, just like it sounds, support at I am a survivor of domestic violence.org. Again, support at I'm a survivor of domestic violence.org. The website address is I am a survivor of domestic violence.org. Again, I am a survivor of domestic violence.org. Let's talk about what we offer. So as a survivor and listening to survivors and victims who lost loved ones, it's very sad that I have to say this, but I'm going to say it. There isn't much resources out there. There are, some foundations that offer support and resources. And then there are some that are out there and they're smaller and they can't really do what they say they do, but they do what they say, but maybe they're lacking staff, lacking, a live phone, which we have 24/7 phone lines, which is, an answering service. But we offer literally one-on-one group coaching sessions and we actually can give you referrals to therapists that will work and help you for no cost. Okay, so that's a big thing. A lot of people say, "Well, I work and I can't get, Medicaid, Medicare. I can't pay for health care." The United States doesn't have a lot of options for free health care, as we know. So, but if you're poverty level, you can get Medicaid and food stamps and stuff like that. So for those people that have jobs and were disheveled because of what happened of domestic violence, you can still call us. We give you free, I say completely free resources, support groups. You can go one-on-one at first because if you're embarrassed, then you can jump in to group. If you want to stay one-on-one, that's fine. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I'm a certified coach. I'm a certified hypnotherapist. Let me say it again, certified coach, certified hypnotherapist. And I'm well educated. And I used to be in law enforcement. And I'm an investigator. So I'm like a big resource for you as a victim if you need help. If you don't know who to go to, who to trust, I'm neutral. Everything that we talk about, we don't take any records. We just take a quick intake on you. We put down what happened, maybe the abuser, perpetrator's name, just the basics. And we put that in it's a one sheet, and it's completely confidential. What we talk about isn't recorded. There isn't any real notes. We just do it as a coaching session. So it's not like if you have to worry about your job, like a lot of people worry, oh my God, it's going to be a record. Maybe if my job finds about it, I'm going to get fired. And that's something to be really worried about. But in most cases, if you're seeing a doctor, a psychologist, a therapist that's licensed, that you're using your insurance or paying cash, however you pay, your story will be kept in their records, and they will have it noted. So if they get subpoenaed, they will find out everything. If they subpoena our company, we only tell them basics, that you came in, that you had an issue, blah blah blah. We're not mandated to tell anything because we don't have notes. We do this because we're not therapists. We are a foundation built off of survivors who lived it and who have done it and gone through it and have dealt with anxiety, PTSD, chronic PTSD, coercive control, emotional, psychological abuse. Myself and my co-host have almost been killed, literally killed. Okay. I'm former federal law enforcement, former investigator, big guy. Guess what? My ex nearly killed me. And for Michelle, which I cannot speak, she'll get her time to speak. She was almost killed as well. So when we say we're dedicated to what we're doing, we give 120% every time we're out here on our podcast. We want to engage with the communities. We want to engage with victims and their family members, because domestic violence and abuse from domestic violence or psychological abuse ripples, and it affects the whole family and even affects people at your work. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had women that call from their work on break outside their office saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to break. I'm going to get a gun. Like, I save people's lives from people getting killed. I mean, there's so much going on right now, and there's not that many people, and the hotlines are all busy. Everyone that has a hotline, they're busy. We're getting last year, we're closing out this year. Like last year, we got like 900 to 1,200 calls. This year, I just found out, just for this actual, podcast that we're doing, this episode today, I think we did 2,300 calls. That's crazy. We have 641,000 views of our website to date. Okay, that's almost 700,000. So I know we're doing the right thing, and I know we're bringing awareness. And that's what my main focus as the founder, the CEO, and Michelle's focus is awareness. Because a lot of people, the younger generations, once you start getting into like high school, a lot of girls don't know what to do and how to handle, boys that are a little aggressive. And that's where it starts. I think really, freshman year of high school is really a good place to start. Even though I visited grammar schools, I speak at grammar schools, and I speak at high schools, and I speak in colleges. So you can call the foundation. I'll come in and I speak to student bodies. I go into auditoriums. I go into jails where people are on death row for killing their wives or girlfriends and talk to them and see if I can do anything to help them cope with looking at a death sentence from doing domestic violence. I try to go in and just talk to people and tell them to focus on their faith and you know just reflect on what you did and just ask for forgiveness because everyone deserves a second chance, but when you're on death row, it's sad. And a lot of people say, "Well, why would you ever go as a founder of someone that's fighting domestic violence? Why would you go see somebody like that?" Because at the end of the day, we're all human, and we all want to be forgiven. No matter what you do, everyone deserves forgiveness. And I try to go in, and when I speak to people in these jails, where there's some of them are like units that have 30, 40, 60 guys in them. Some of them have girls. I go into female ones as well. I think I really make a difference. And a lot of people reach out to the foundation and me after they get out of prison. So I know the reintegration issue for domestic violence offenders is hellacious. Some of them say that they were set up and I believe some of them, not all of them, but I believe some of them when I look at the police reports and look at everything after they come out and they show me everything. I'm saddened because it really boils down to simply when you are in a relationship or looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend or you're divorced, try not to do a rebound relationship. It's the worst. It really is. Try to give yourself a buffer. Really, just a buffer, like a year and a half, 2 years, and nobody wants to be alone. And I understand that nobody does, and everybody wants to be loved. Everyone wants to have a happy life, and have a companion, husband, wife, what have you, to go through your years and live together and have dinners together, take vacations. That's what normal people do. Well, sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. And you end up in a situation where you're getting stalked or abused and battered, and you got to take action. Don't ever let anybody hit you. Don't ever let anybody abuse you. Don't let anyone ever tell you you can't go with your girlfriends. Don't put up with that. That's coercive control, and that's a red flag. If you're being held hostage in the sense of financial exploitation, meaning your husband or your wife's a breadwinner, what brings home the money, basically, you need to seriously just take a look at your life and say, do you want to live like this for the rest of your life? You worry about the kids. Where are we going to go? You can call us. We can set up a exit strategy. And so you'll have a place to stay. We give out hotel vouchers up to 60 days. We can give you prepaid credit cards. We can also give you free legal advice and through our attorneys that work for free. So there's a lot of things, and everyone that is with our foundation is an advocate certified through I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence Inc. platform. I'm the one that certifies everybody because I'm certified as well. So you go through a 6 to 8 week process. We monitor you. We monitor you and you're taking the calls. We do a lot of stuff to train these different volunteers. So there's so much that we offer. Other things that we do a lot of outreach and we go out into the community and we talk to people about domestic violence. Just, we sit on front of different stores like Starbucks and, different fast food places, and people just talk to us and they take our information, say, my sister's going through some trouble. It's like anyone I talk to, like lately, about domestic violence, are like, oh my God, my sister, oh, I just got divorced. Everyone has a story. So it's an epidemic. And people aren't acknowledging it. They're just not acknowledging that, overseas, like I always refer to London, there's so many women that are being slaughtered like cattle over in London. It's horrific. And I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence is a national company, but we ripple overseas and we're in other countries. I talk to people in Helsinki, Finland. I talk to people in Switzerland. I talk to people in all the time in London, different parts of the UK. I talk to people in Ireland. It's kind of an epidemic over there. There's a lot of controlling and battering going on over there. Scotland, real bad. I mean, I could go on and on. There's probably 47 countries through WhatsApp contact me. So that's really kind of some of the things that we're doing. And it's kind of unbelievable what we're doing. But It's going to keep growing, and I'm going to be coming out with our DV Talks, which is kind of like a knockoff form of TED Talks. And it's going to be a forum where survivors or the family members who have lost family members due to domestic violence and or human trafficking, organ trafficking, because I'm a survivor of domestic violence doesn't focus just on domestic violence. Domestic violence is our major focus. But we found, especially myself, being former law enforcement, federal, I found that a lot of domestic violence starts, it's almost like the gateway to almost human trafficking. So, guys ask their woman to do terrible things when they're together, and sometimes they manipulate them and they do crazy things. And all I can tell you is nobody should tell you that you have to, you know, perform acts of sex trafficking or any crazy things like that. Just look the other way, go out the door, tell me you're going to get a pack of cigarettes, and don't look back. Run. You can call our hotline. We can have a police cruiser meet you somewhere around the corner. We can give you Ubers and Lyft rides. We work with them. They give us free Lyft and Uber rides to get people out of situations, get them to safe houses. There's options. So you need to call. A lot of people that call, please hear me if you're afraid to call, embarrassed, scared. Don't be scared. Just call 702 323 4477. We have free resources. We will help you. We'll listen. We won't tell you to do this or do that. We just listen. Then when you ask, we tell you the resources we have. We tell you what other people do. We can put you on the phone with other volunteers that are in that space. Maybe you're female, you want to talk to females. We get plenty of females you can talk to. Men, same thing. Same sex marriages, we have it. We deal with it all. So please reach out to us. Thank you.
That was a lot of information for our audience, and hopefully that will, if it only helps one person, it is definitely a success for sure.
Thank you.
So yeah, make sure, you guys check out I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence.org. And we obviously will put slides as well as text, in our Spotify and our social media posts and more. So let's just kind of get back into looking back at the series, Sean. And I'm going to ask you a question here and
Sure.
answer to the best of your knowledge. So, what are the most important takeaways about how domestic violence affects individuals and communities, and how can we apply this knowledge moving forward?
Okay. Great question. Double-edged sword, but I love it because this is what I was hoping you'd hit me with a question, and where I didn't know what the question was. It's great. So the first thing you mentioned about, most important takeaways about how domestic violence affects communities and individuals. So first of all, if it was your first time in a relationship, or if you've been in relationships before and you never actually suffered or encountered domestic violence is really like, I have to say, it masks itself, because if you're not really well educated or know about domestic violence, a lot of people say, well, I wasn't being hit, but he wouldn't let me do stuff, or she wouldn't let me do stuff, after we got married, or after she moved in, or after he moved in. So first of all, you don't need to get a black eye. You don't need to be thrown against a wall. You don't need to be thrown down a set of stairs. You can be manipulated psychologically. So basically, coercive control, I mean, some abusers will make excuses if you guys, decide, oh, I'm going to go out with my girlfriends tonight, or I'm going to go out with my friends tonight. We're going to go play darts. And, maybe the man, the relationship went out with his friends playing darts for 10 years before the relationship, 5 years, 3 years, whatever it is. And the new girlfriend or wife says, honey, I don't want you going. I would just want you to stay home. Let's just snuggle on the couch. We got to watch TV. It's always something. Or, I made special dinner and I want to have coffee. It's always something. You'll find you just never can go out anymore, and you'll be alienated, and you're always home with him or her, which is not healthy. Every woman should have girlfriends. Every man should have some friends, some guy friends that they go out and hang out with. It's normal to go outside of the house. Being around the same person all the time is not a bad thing, but it's not normal. Like the husband goes to work, or if the wife's a stay-home mom, that's one thing. The husband goes to work, and then the wife never gets a chance to go out to break out away from the kids. Cleaning the house, taking care of the dogs, what have you. I mean, women are not appreciated, and I hate to say this, but a woman are not appreciated in America and globally. Overseas, it's even worse. I mean, nobody understands. I actually read some articles that if you had to hire a woman that takes care of a house, you're cleaning laundry, cooking the food, just daycare, whatever. If you had to do all that, you're looking at $95 to $150,000, depending on how many kids you have. And you throw some dogs and dog food and all that, feed them, cleaning up the messes they make. Come on, it's a
Mhm.
full time job plus taking care of the kids, driving them to school. You know, so a lot of men don't appreciate women, and I just want to tell all you men out there that are doing that, you gotta stop that noise because it's inappropriate and it's shameful. And for those of you that take care of your woman and your loved ones, and you're a good man. God love you because um, I was on the reverse of it. People say, "Well, men don't get abused." Well, that's not true. Men do get abused, and most men that get abused will not they won't even think about calling 911 because they're afraid. Because typically the man's bigger, right? And just because you're a man and you're bigger doesn't mean you might have a 100 pound, 110 pound woman that gets drunk or something, gets intoxicated or does drugs, and maybe she's got addiction issues, whatever it is. And when she's on the drugs, she wants more and she starts flipping out, or when she drinks, whatever the case may be, you can be abused by a woman as a man, and you have every right to hit 911. The problem is in the States and overseas, if you have kids, they may come and say, well, I know you say she hit you, but you said you had to defend yourself. She said you hit her. Now it's assault and battery on, both sides of the spectrum. So you're both going downtown. The kids are going to go on DFAX or, child services. You got to get arraigned. What happens if you don't have money? You don't have any. I mean, you could literally end up in jail and be sentenced, and your kids could be adopted by the time you get out of jail. And it's not even a joke because I get calls all the time of mothers that get out that do 60, 90 days. The husband took the kids and left the state. Parental kidnapping stuff, and he filed all these motions when she's in jail. I mean, there's crazy stuff that goes on. So all you have to do is you have to live your life proactively in every way you can, right? And this is the part of the question I'm answering right now is about how the domestic violence affects individuals and communities, because that's how it affects individuals. Now, the way domestic violence affects communities is if somebody's in a restaurant, they witness it, because I have people calling me all the time. What about you live in an apartment building? You always hear like unit 3A, you live in 3C or something, but 3A, there's always 3B, there's always battering, you hear banging off the walls. You call the police, they come, they've been knocking the door, they open the door, they go inside, they leave, there's nothing that happens. The woman says, oh, I was just cleaning dishes, making excuses, right? You don't have to live like that within a community, okay? The other thing people don't talk about is what about work? Domestic violence goes on in work. Nobody's even knows about it.
Mhm.
Domestic violence goes on in your workplace. Coercive control, your boss making these innuendos or telling you you can't go to break unless I go to lunch with you and all this craziness. There's a lot of stuff that goes on at work in the workplace, but nobody talks about it. And I've had people calling me recently, and I've had like probably 25, 30 calls over the last year. Like, what do I do if I'm experiencing domestic violence in work? And I said, well, what do you mean? Well, people, I work at Amazon. This was Amazon, actually. And I don't know which unit. She wouldn't tell me because I tried to get a hold of the people at Amazon there, but they couldn't do anything because she didn't give me any locations or names. She hung up. But she says, my boss, like when I'm working, he'll come over to me and throw me against the pallet of stuff we're working on to get out of the way. You're working too slow. That's domestic violence. That's assault.
Mhm.
So people get it confused. Domestic violence is like segregated. No, domestic violence when you put your hands or your feet, push your body as a man to a smaller human being, which is a woman, and you push her out of the way, pushing her away like she's a dish rag or a piece of furniture, that's abuse and that's assault and battery. Again, assault and battery and abuse. Do not put up with it in your workplace. And the problem they put up with it is some of them need jobs and they're afraid, well, if I go to the boss, he's my boss. If I go to the higher boss, they're just going to fire me and say I'm lying. And the thing is, let me tell you something. You can have a lawyer subpoena the tapes at your workplace, and they keep those tapes going, running inside those warehouses because of theft, employee theft, because there's multiple millions of dollars worth of merchandise. So ask to have a lawyer get hired and tell them what happened, get a police report. And the sad part about it is you may get fired. It is sad. But don't let it go on. Get a new job. Start interviewing before you report them. Get a new job. Once you're ready to leave, give you 7-day notice, 14-day notice because you want a reference there. File that you were battered at work and file police reports. Don't let people get away with abusing you, because if you do, you're setting the bar that men or women can abuse you in your workplace in communities. I've seen many people call me where I picked them up at restaurants and they were in a restaurant and the husband and the boyfriend leave the woman and the kids at the like out in the cold, out in the rain, left outside the store when that restaurant closes because he took the keys and he was drinking too much. He was abusive and he slapped her in the restaurant. And we had to get police reports. Then they pulled the tapes and people get prosecuted. A lot of women that have been abused are battered. They're beat down. They can't take it. They just don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed. Every day it's drinking. He's not home. Whatever the case may be, you don't have to live like this. I know you're saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm overwhelmed. Guess what? We will help you through the process. It's not going to be easy. I'm not telling you it's not going to be it's not going to be easy, because it's not going to be easy. So I'm just saying again, I'm not going to tell you it's not going to be easy. I'm just not going to tell you that. But let me ask you something. Do you want to have something terrible to happen to your kids? Do you want to have something happen to you so you can't take care of your kids? Just ask yourself those questions as you're listening to this podcast. And my name is Brian. You can call me. I'm the founder. I'm always available. You can request to talk to me. If it's urgent, I'll get right on. No matter what I'm doing, I'll pause a coaching session, whatever I have to do. I'll get on the call. So please just understand domestic violence affects individuals in communities, and it actually causes a ripple effect throughout the whole community. When they hear screaming and yelling, it really gets people talking. It gets them nervous. It gets them tense. Like, oh, do we want to live here listening to this abuse? It's terrible. And eventually, if you live in that situation, the police will come. They will take you both, and the kids will end up in foster care. And you can look it up. And the courts are so backed up now, you don't even know if you're going to get heard. You may have to have bail money sometimes if they think you have kids and you're not taking care of the kids, because he may have hit you and that you hit him back, or you tried to defend yourself, threw a chair at him as he was coming at you, whatever, just trying to protect yourself. You got to get out of that situation. You're going to end up going to jail, and the kids are going to be at risk. So please hear me. Please call us 702-323-4477. That's our hotline. So that's my answer to your first question.
Okay. Great answer. Great answer.
I try. It's a loaded gun, that question. It's like,
Oh,
um, it's a loaded gun. That's a hard one.
all right. Would you like to ask me a question?
I actually would. So when I think about a question for you, it's kind of, you know, hard for me but there are some things that I really want a female question. It's like a female question. It's something that catered to females that have been abused, and you've been abused.
Yeah.
So this is my question. So Michelle, why is it critical to continue having conversations about domestic violence, even after, awareness campaign has ended, or a podcast series like ours? Like, how would you answer that? Like, as a woman being abused, like what is the main thing that you get about awareness and campaigns about awareness? And once they ended in podcasts, why is it important? After it's all concluded, of course, and it concludes, why is it important that we keep going, and how can we keep it going?
I mean, obviously, after ending an awareness campaign or concluding a podcast series, there's still domestic violence going on across the world, and the conversation isn't over.
domestic violence is going to continue to be ongoing. It's a crisis, it's an epidemic. It happens in families all over. It's everybody knows somebody who's dealt with domestic violence. Every single one of our guests and advocates that have been on season one are all survivors. So we have to continue to take action and we have to continue these conversations. Um, it's going to be in the public eye. It's been in the public eye for years. People just pushed it under the rugs, years ago. But it doesn't fade back into the background, for sure. It's still happening. It's still going to continue to happen. And like you said, families, with the husbands and wives or same sex marriages, there's kids involved and there's foster care that, can take the kids. And then this is going to go into the children's future. And it may be what they fall into because it's generational and it shuts down nervous systems, which we have learned, and energies. And so we got to break the silence. We got to reduce the stigma and we have to encourage more people to seek help. A lot of us are scared. I can say as a survivor, I was always scared because I was an independent woman and, my family really got sick of hearing from me and my friends got sick of it and everybody told me to get out, but I didn't want to leave my belongings behind. And finally, CPS got involved and they said, it was your kids or him. And I obviously said, it's my kids. Bye bye, honey. You need to leave. Now, my situation was a little different. I was an independent woman. My father always taught me to keep my own bank accounts and separate accounts. So, I was able to take care of myself. There's some women that, we've mentioned throughout many of these episodes about the financial alienation, and some of the women have nothing. So how are they going to get out? And some of these resources, you're on waiting lists. So it's hard. So survivors need, advocacy and they need resources. And
Definitely, yeah.
although they're there, not all of them have the funding. We've talked to different guests about funding and with these 501(c)(3)s, and people need to know how to apply for grants. And it's just an ongoing thing. Like we keep mentioning, everybody knows somebody that's dealing with it. So, you know, we don't want domestic violence to be normalized and we want the behavior, to change because it's harmful and there's a lot of misconceptions, with domestic violence. So I definitely say, furthermore, discussions post campaign or post podcast, we need to highlight the systematic issues and the need for long term, meaningful policy change, whether that's bills or laws or, in the police departments, as we've heard from, one of our guests, how they have the safe place, in this one police department here in New York. But again, that's comes to funding and the community getting involved. And a lot of times the community kind of turns their back because they may think it's normal, and it's not normal. So, I think it's vital to keep domestic violence prevention and intervention strategies on a forefront of social issues. So
Yeah.
that would be my answer.
You know, that was really an incredible monologue. So thank you. And you hit the nail with the hammer. I mean, you nailed it. So one other thing I want to say, one other question to wrap it. That question. So what would you say, and why would you say continued conversation helps the issue in the public eye? What's your feeling on that? Like, I have my own, but this is for you to answer because I just want to hear what you say because I have my own thoughts.
Yeah, so I guess continuing the conversation because it's there, it's in the public eye. People are going to become more aware. This is how we get the community to come to action. This is how we get individuals to come to action, survivors. We it can't just be brushed under the rug. These things are going to continue, and we need more people to really just get involved and stop it. And as we've mentioned, domestic violence isn't just couples. It could be a father daughter situation. It could be a
Exactly.
father son. It could be a work situation. It's happening all over. So people tend to, put domestic as that's a couple or a,
Exactly. Yeah.
and it's not.
Yeah.
So,
So let me ask you this. You had mentioned before we had talked on and off when we're behind the scenes. You
mhm,
brought up something that I just want you to kind of elaborate on it as
yeah.
and just as a wrap for your question. So talk about the abuse that happens in nursing homes. Like it's crazy, right? So can you just elaborate on that?
Oh gosh, absolutely. So, for instance, like actually that's great because my first not really my first job, but like my first adult job was as a CNA at I won't say the company. Um
Okay. Okay.
I won't say the company,
I
but
get
I
it. I get it. I get why.
I will say that it was a smaller building, like, unit, and it was split into, like, 4, so each one of us would cover, like, upstairs or downstairs and,
Yeah.
like, one side of the unit.
Right.
And I remember this lady just buzzing and buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. And finally, I went down there and I got in trouble because I went down there. The lady was sitting on the toilet for like 4 hours. You do realize, like, you can't leave somebody like sitting on a toilet for 4 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
It's
that's
terrible.
physical
My
abuse.
God.
You'd go and there'd be people sitting in wet diapers. There'd be people who are, paraplegic that aren't being moved. They have bed sores. I mean, there's people that are going without medications. There's people that are buzzing that are in pain or, you know, and this is, let's get off of nursing homes. This was just something more recent. I was in the hospital for my stomach like this year, and they brought a woman in, and I remember they rolled her in, and I was just, like, so scared because she was just, like, screaming constantly, and you're already, like, stressed out when you're in the hospital, but then she was like she kept yelling, "Hello, hello, hello," and I'm like, "Alright," so I get up with my IV because nobody's coming, no nurse, we're in
Of
a hospital.
course. Yeah. Neglect. It's straight up neglect with, yeah.
Well, they left this woman a tray of food and she could not move from the neck down. So now I'm trying to feed this woman and I realize like I'm giving her an Ensure and she can't move her arms, she can't move her legs, she can't sit
Terrible.
up. So I'm moving her bed up. I'm
Right.
holding the Ensure door, but at the same time I got my IV, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this. Like I'm in severe pain. Like I'm
Right.
going in my bed. Now I'm buzzing the nurses, like, you need to take care of this woman. And it
Right.
got so bad that like I had to leave my hospital room and I went in the waiting room. I like called the hospital. I complained, like I'm like, hello, I'm sleeping in a waiting room. I'd rather go home
Right.
and in pain than be in here. Like you guys are neglecting all sorts of people, but that's abuse,
It
so
is.
like
It's neglect. It's neglect. It's like a dark area. But like if you're employed as a nurse's assistant or an aide or what have you, or there's all these different positions that are created. But basically, you're not a nurse. You're just somebody that kind of helps this nurse and follows up. So neglect and abuse can result in deaths. It's not even a joke. Some
yeah.
people that can't walk will try to walk or get off the toilet. They'll slip, hit the head, and
Mhm.
this is what domestic violence, the long arm of domestic violence is kind of a gray area. It's like really neglect, but in some instances, it absolutely is domestic violence. So let me tell you now that you've mentioned what you've experienced. So I used to go to calls. I'd get calls from the children, the grown up, the older adults, but the mother would be in assisted living, and there's rapes going on by the orderlies. There's
Mhm.
I'm talking black eyes, people missing teeth. Like you go in and talk to them and say, "Hi, how you doing?" I went in to investigate a complaint, so I would go in there and I'd bring flowers like I was visiting, and some of them, going in and out with dementia, or some of them are kind of just really very depressed and sad because some people leave them in there and they don't visit them, and some of them don't have any family members. The
Yeah.
husband died and they're just on their last leg. So I went in there, I was completely devastated. I left the place in tears, but I took multiple reports. I was thrown out of there actually, and I was called in by a family member to visit, and the lady was coherent, but I was thrown out there, conveniently enough. But I did open up a defects case, and they basically lost their license, and two of them actually went to prison. It took 19 months before it came to fruition. I testified, and I probably have been to, I don't know, 50, 60, and they have never done anything. I mean, I'm talking about people that are paraplegic, okay, that never leave the bed,
Mhm.
and they've got black eyes, balls of their hair are missing, okay, and they tell me, when the orderly comes in, his name is Barry, and suddenly when we go to find Barry or find out, they say he was fired and he was a temp, so they pull his records sometimes. It's crazy what they do. They commit crimes. Those are criminal crimes.
Yeah.
um like when they don't tell you the truth of what's going on. So it's really sad. And I want to just say to all, you know, p- children out there of your parents, if they're in nursing homes, you need to really go see them. You need to talk to them, see what's going on, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going
Mhm.
on in assisted living homes, like stuff that it's just hellacious, horrific. And I know about it. And I'm doing what I can, but I can't do anything if you don't call. Just call 702-323-4477. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm always in the community in Las Vegas, Nevada, and my volunteers are there. My advocates are there. We can appear in Clark County. Anytime you need an advocate, just call 702-323-4477. If for some reason the hotline's jammed, which is most often, email us support at I'm a survivor of domestic violence. That's I am, not I am. It's I am a survivor of domestic violence.org. Support at I'm a survivor of domestic violence.org. And our website again is I am a survivor of domestic violence.org. So please email us, go to the contact area, you know, just send us a little note. If you want to, just give us a tip about a nursing home or something, some abuse going on and some assisted living, whatever you have, just drop a line, leave a voicemail, call on a block number, call from a payphone. Please don't look the other way. Don't say I don't want to be involved, because you could save someone's life. You could literally save an elderly person's life. Please,
Mhm.
thank you.
And I'll just add to that real quick. And I'm not saying that every nursing home is bad, but
Exactly. We're not saying that. Yeah. Yeah. We're not
you
saying.
know, I will say that if you have the funds or the means, like, do not allow your family to go into a nursing home. My mother, like, when she was getting ready to pass, they
Yeah.
wanted to put her into, a home. And I said, over my dead body, I dropped every single thing that I was doing. I was traveling 26 out of 30 days out of the month, and I dropped everything to be there with her every step of the way. And I said, the CNAs and the nurses and stuff would call from hospice, but I was doing everything. She didn't want to see them. And they're like, you need sleep. I said, I will sleep when she passes. There's no way my mother is going into a nursing home because,
Right.
again, I've worked in one. And not only that, my, another one of my business partners, father it was in Massachusetts, and they also did a case there. But by the time
Really?
cases,
What part of Mass was it?
Springfield.
Okay. All right.
Springfield. But by then it was too late. He has passed. And think of all those people in the meantime that were abused. I mean, they had to call and make 5, 6, 7 reports until they were like investigated and fined, and they were written up for all sorts of things. But I mean, think of all those people that don't have somebody there to advocate for them.
And
So,
that's why I'm a survivor of domestic violence Inc. is a foundation that will fight the best we can, and we will get law enforcement involved. We'll help file whatever you need. The file documents will assist as advocates to help you write the reports if you can't write, if you can't think because you're battered. The other thing I want to say as we close out this question is just this: a lot of nursing homes nationally and globally sedate. So let's say if you take, I don't know, something, sometimes they give the residents something to help them sleep, right? They overdose, so they don't even know what goes on with their body at night.
mhm,
And I don't need to say anymore. It's sickening, it's
yep.
horrific, and we need to bring awareness to it. And please, if you have anyone that you think that's been abused, or you work as a nurse, because you guys know firsthand, Don't act like you got to keep your mouth quiet, keep your mouth shut because you're going to get fired. You can do it anonymously. Just give us the location, the name of the patient that's living in the nursing home or the assisted care living, and we'll do the rest. Please. Again,
Yeah.
702-323-4477 or support at IMA survivor domestic violence.org, or you can contact us on the website,
Yeah.
IMA survivor of domestic violence.org. Okay.
All right. I know we could get into this.
Oh, we
So
could go. We could go.
like a whole episode on its own for sure, but we are
Yeah.
running low on time. So
Yeah.
maybe we can squeeze 2 more questions in, but
Sure.
really
Sure.
let's get this one in here.
Okay.
So how can the lessons learned from this podcast, season 1, be used to improve current interventions and support systems for survivors of domestic violence?
Okay, that's a great question. So let's talk about just the word intervention. So, intervention, we all know what that means. If you don't, it means to kind of, stop something that could happen or live proactively and alleviate what's been happening, and you basically create an intervention, meaning stop dating the person, stop seeing the person, leave the relationship. Okay, you got black eyes, you're getting pushed around, holes in the walls, he's punching the walls. I mean, when a man literally will take his hand, start smashing the walls because he's intoxicated, anger management, mental health. A lot of times men use I was drunk, and I was drunk, honey, and I didn't mean it, and I won't do it again. And then a week, 2 months, 6 months, it's back again, right? So he's mentally disturbed in reference to maybe he's doing drugs or maybe just alcohol. Alcohol is a drug, so don't get it confused. And actually, it's the gateway. That's what most people say. Alcohol is the gateway because you start drinking, you're getting feeling good. Well, I'm sick of drinking all the time. I always get buzzed. I get tired. I want to get something to pick me up. They go to something else, or they want to smoke marijuana, wake and bake, which is not good. A lot of people wake and bake, and, I'm not telling you what to do with your life. And I know it's legalized in most states and all that, but guess what? I read an article and I've been reading it. Marijuana is more addictive and most addictive now in so many different states because people literally wake, bake, lunchtime, sneak out. I don't know how many times I've been driving in traffic in Nevada and I pull up to a light, and I'm not joking. I've never done drugs, and I almost get a contact high by sitting at the light from the air condition coming in the vents. It's horrific. So, when people are using drugs and alcohol, that's a red flag. Okay. And if you're doing the drugs if you're a partner or married or husband or what, and you're doing the drugs and alcohol with the person that's been abusing you, well, shame on you. Seriously, shame on you. You need to stop the madness before you get yourself killed or incarcerated. Because if you get in a bad fight and you don't know, you see, the thing is with alcohol and some drugs, when they mix them, they become psychotic. And guess what? They grab a steak knife and say, I'll kill you. And they get enraged. They don't even know what they're doing. They might stab you or kill you.
Yeah.
It's very real. I mean, how many times have you read, oh my God, the husband, the wife wants to leave, and they say, oh my God, the whole family's gone. The kids, the wife, and himself. It's hellacious. It's horrific. That means he was probably mentally unstable and he never got treated, or the wife just said, oh, he's got a bad temper and he drinks a little bit, he gets a little crazy, but I do too. It's okay, he's Irish. Use the excuse of Irish. It doesn't matter if you're Irish or Italian or Middle Eastern. It doesn't matter what race or creed you are.
Right.
Alcohol, basically makes you crazy. It can make you really crazy if you drink too much. Then you put pills with this. So what I'm saying is interventions is all, end of the day, it's all up to you. If you need an intervention, it's already too late, just so you know. So but if you acknowledge you got to do an intervention, okay, but obviously the intervention comes a little late sometimes. Okay, I got broken ribs, I got to get a restraining order. He's hit me 5 times. This is the sixth time over 2 weeks or 2 months or 4 years, whatever. The first time a man puts his hands on you, or vice versa, that's it. You need to leave the situation.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might happen once and then they're devastated. You go to counseling, you separate for a while. But usually if it happens once, it's going to keep happening. No one just hits you once. If they're abusive, they've probably been abusive to their exes. So please, intervention and support systems are reaching out to 501c3s like ours. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. Our phone number again, 702-323-4477. 323-4477 is the last seven numbers. 702-323-4477. Um, email support at I am a survivor of domestic violence.org. Again, support at I'm a survivor of domestic violence.org. And email, we're actually website is support at I'm a survivor of domestic violence.org. Support at I'm a survivor of domestic violence.org is the email. Again, website I'm a survivor of domestic violence.org. Reach out to us. If you don't want to do anything, just reach out to us for the love of God. We'll talk to you. We won't ask you your name. We won't ask your location. Just talk to us so we can put you on to volunteer. You can jump into a support group. If you haven't really stressed out anxiety, you can do virtual hypnotherapy. I can do it. I'm certified. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at what I do. Please, these are free resources, free coaching, family dynamics coaching, relationship coaching. It's all free. Please use it. That's my answer.
All right. I just want to add to that before we wrap
Sure,
our last
sure,
episode for
sure,
season one.
sure.
It's definitely clear that the existing systems like law enforcement, legal services, healthcare, and shelters often fail to meet the complex needs of survivors. So a more holistic approach, like when we had Carrie Ann on our
Oh God, I loved her. She was such a great. Oh my God, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. More mental health support, legal aid, financial resources, and long term safety planning. It's not just about tomorrow, it is about the long term.
Yeah.
So, an actionable change is the improvement of training for our first responders, police officers, healthcare providers, and social workers so they can better recognize the signs of abuse and provide immediate trauma informed support. So,
Re-education is really the problem with re-education is they do it right, and then
yeah,
like they'll say, okay, we're going to do domestic violence, human trafficking, re-education. So you guys at roll call, we're going to have a half hour. You got to come in early because I used to do roll call and then have these things that people would come in and speak. Okay, it's great. Everybody gets motivated. Yeah, we should really remember that case we had. Oh yeah, okay. If you don't keep doing it, it just falls by the wayside. If something
yeah,
else comes up, there's something else that's more dramatic or the homicides or they don't even so that's a really what you just said is really great. Thanks for adding all that was great what you just said.
yeah. We just got to ensure that all our survivors have access to the care and justice that they deserve. And I think that's a good way to sign out.
And I just want to say on the closing, we're fighting an epidemic. We're
Mhm.
fighting an uphill battle, and the reason that we're fighting an epidemic in an uphill battle is because men primarily manipulate women and their children not to call 911. Oh, baby, I love you. I won't do it again. I just won't. Yeah, okay. They manipulate financial exploitation. Some of these guys stay at home. The wife puts the wife to work. He stays home drinking beer. These type of people you don't need to have in your life. You need to
Yeah,
change your life. Or if you love him you love her or him, they need to get help. They need to go AA, in a whatever it is. If they don't get help, they don't want to help themselves. Don't waste your life and wake up someday at 45, 55 years old and say, what just happened? I wasted my life with this person. You may
yeah.
love them, they may have good in them, but guess what? Don't do it. Call our foundation, get help. 702-323-4477. Again, our website, you can go on the contact section. I am a survivor domesticviolence.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence, Inc. As we wrap up season 1, we want to remind you that this conversation must continue. The fight against domestic violence doesn't stop when the episode finishes. It's an ongoing collective effort that requires all of us to stay engaged, raise awareness, and support survivors every day.
Exactly, Michelle. What we've shared over these past episodes is just the beginning of what needs to be a lifelong commitment to ending domestic violence. We hope that these conversations have empowered you, provided resources, and reminded you that you are not alone. Whether you're a survivor, a supporter, or someone who wants to make simple change.
Please continue to educate yourself, engage with your community, and offer support to survivors however you can. Your involvement makes a real difference, and together we can create lasting change.
Thank you to everyone who has listened, shared, and been part of this conversation. As Michelle said, this is just the beginning. Let's keep the dialogue open and let's keep working toward a future where domestic violence is a thing of the past.
Stay strong, stay connected, and remember, you are a survivor. You matter. Your story matters. And together, we are making a difference.
Take care, everyone. And remember, the fight doesn't end here. We'll see you in the next chapter of this work because the road to healing and change is ongoing.